In today's world, it's all too easy to get swept away in the demands of busy schedules, work obligations, and the constant pressure to be more, do more, and achieve more. Present Over Perfect by Shauna Niequist explores the author's personal journey to shift her focus away from perfectionism and the pursuit of success towards a more authentic, meaningful life rooted in presence, peace, and connection. It's a story that will resonate deeply with anyone feeling overwhelmed, overworked, or disconnected from their truest self. Shauna Niequist is an author and speaker who has written several books, but Present Over Perfect stands out as a particularly vulnerable and honest reflection of her own struggles with perfectionism. In this memoir-like reflection, she takes readers on a journey of self-discovery and transformation, drawing from her personal experiences, faith, and lessons learned along the way. Her tone is warm and relatable, and her willingness to share the messy, difficult parts of her story makes this book all the more impactful. This book is a gentle invitation to put down the to-do lists, the constant striving for achievement, and the need for external validation, and instead embrace a life where being present in the moment is more important than the quest for perfection. It's a call to slow down, listen to your heart, and find peace in the process rather than obsessing over the results. The Pressure to Be Perfect, a story we know all too well. From the very beginning of Present Over Perfect, Shauna Niequist acknowledges the all-too-familiar struggle with perfectionism. Many readers will recognize themselves in her stories of juggling too many responsibilities, trying to meet impossible standards, and constantly feeling like they are not enough. In the opening chapters, Niequist reflects on the ways in which she had built her life around the pursuit of perfection, whether it was in her career, relationships, or appearance. Her narrative is grounded in honesty as she confesses that, for years, she thought that achieving perfection would lead her to happiness, success, and fulfillment. But, as she began to realize, the pursuit of perfection was taking her further away from what truly mattered in life. In fact, it was making her feel more disconnected, anxious, and exhausted. Niequist's story is one that many people can relate to. The pressure to meet external expectations, the fear of failure, and the desire to control every aspect of life in order to maintain a sense of security and accomplishment. In the modern world, perfectionism can often be mistaken for success, and our worth is sometimes measured by how productive, efficient, or accomplished we appear to be. This book calls that notion into question, offering a gentle but firm reminder that perfection is not the answer. The answer, she argues, lies in living authentically and being present in our own lives. Shifting focus, choosing presence over perfection. One of the central themes of Present Over Perfect is the decision to choose presence over perfection. For Niequist, this shift was not an easy one. It required her to confront the deep-rooted beliefs and habits that had shaped her life for years. She had to learn to say no to the constant hustle, to stop overcommitting, and to let go of the unrealistic standards she had imposed on herself. The book is structured around the idea of making a conscious choice to prioritize presence in every area of life. This means letting go of the need to constantly be doing and instead focusing on the being part of life. It's about being present with loved ones, being present with yourself, and learning to slow down enough to truly enjoy the moments that matter. Throughout the book, Niequist shares personal stories of how she began to implement this shift in her own life. She talks about the challenges of saying no to things that no longer served her, the importance of setting boundaries, and the joy that comes from letting go of perfectionism. There's a beautiful sense of freedom in these stories, as Niequist illustrates how the pressure to be perfect was weighing her down and preventing her from living the life she truly desired. One of the key practices that helped her in this process was embracing simplicity, whether it was simplifying her schedule, her relationships, or her approach to work. Niequist discovered that letting go of complexity allowed her to make room for the things that truly mattered. This is a practice that many readers will find helpful. How can we clear the clutter in our own lives to make room for the things that bring us joy, peace, and connection? A life reclaimed, finding joy in the everyday. As Niequist embarks on her journey toward a more present and peaceful life, She discovers that joy doesn't come from chasing after perfection or achieving the next big thing. Instead, it can be found in the small, everyday moments that we often overlook when we're too busy striving for more. In Present Over Perfect, Nyquist invites readers to slow down and take notice of the beauty in the mundane. She talks about the joy of sitting down with a cup of coffee, savoring a good meal, or spending quality time with family and friends. These moments may seem simple, but they are the ones that truly nourish our souls. They are the moments that matter. Nyquist's writing is filled with beautiful reflections on the small joys that life has to offer. There's a comforting sense of peace in her words, as she recounts how she learned to appreciate the things that brought her true happiness. This shift in perspective is not just about finding joy in the big events or accomplishments, but also in the simple act of being alive, being present, and being connected to the people and experiences that make life meaningful. This theme of joy is particularly important in a culture that often associates happiness with achievement and success. Nyquist challenges this narrative, encouraging readers to redefine what it means to live a fulfilled life. It's not about ticking off boxes or meeting external expectations. It's about embracing the imperfect beauty of life and finding joy in the process, rather than focusing solely on the end result. The importance of self-care, nurturing the soul. As part of her journey toward presence, Nyquist also emphasizes the importance of self-care. This is not just about pampering oneself with massages or indulgences, but about nourishing the soul and caring for the deeper needs of the self. In a culture that often glorifies busyness, self-care is often seen as selfish or unnecessary. However, Nyquist argues that self-care is essential to living a healthy, balanced life. In her book, Nyquist encourages readers to take time for themselves, to nurture their bodies and minds, and to set aside time for rest. She shares stories of how she learned to prioritize her own well-being, including practices like journaling, prayer, and quiet reflection. These simple practices allowed her to reconnect with herself and with God, and they became essential to her process of healing and growth. This focus on self-care is especially important in a world where many people feel pressured to constantly do more and be more. We are taught to keep going, to push through exhaustion, and to never stop working. But as Nyquist reveals, this mindset is unsustainable and ultimately harmful. True self-care is about listening to our bodies, honoring our needs, and creating space for rest and rejuvenation. A call to live authentically, embracing who we really are. At the heart of Present Over Perfect is a call to live authentically. Nyquist invites readers to stop pretending to be someone they're not, and to embrace their true selves, flaws and all. She writes about the freedom that comes from letting go of the need to fit into a mold or live up to someone else's expectations. Living authentically means being true to who we are, even when it feels uncomfortable or vulnerable. It means embracing imperfection and accepting that we don't have to have it all figured out. For Nyquist, this was a powerful realization. She shares how she learned to let go of the fear of judgment and criticism, and how she discovered the beauty of showing up as her true self, without apology. This message is one of empowerment. In a world that often values appearances, accomplishments, and perfection, Nyquist reminds us that authenticity is far more valuable. It's through authenticity that we connect with others on a deeper level, and find the freedom to live a life that is true to ourselves. Stay tuned for more enlightening content. Head over to www.mybooksummary.com. Don't forget to subscribe and share the magic with friends. And let's grow together through the power of books and interesting stories.